I'm going to go ahead and let us go live and just start chatting a little bit.
Okay.
And then we will wait for, hopefully, Nikki is fine and makes it back in. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday night of the pandemic edition of the Stonehouse Readers series. My name is Troy Myers. I'm hosting tonight with Shannon Bowring.
Hello.
I graduated from the Stonecast MFA in 2015 with an emphasis in poetry. And about almost a year and a half ago, my colleague Amanda Plow and I started a reading series Sunday nights to sort of help us cope with the isolation of the pandemic. And we've had a heck of a lot of fun. Shannon joined a couple of months ago. She's a recent graduate. Her fiction is blowing up.
Well, I don't know about blowing up, but I appreciate it.
It is. And you have archived readings. You can see archives of Shannon reading on our YouTube page or on our Facebook page at Stonehouse Readers. I always say hi to my mom, who watches in the morning. Hi, Mom. And to Amanda's mom, whom I'm told watches.
Hi, Moms.
Every time I cuss, I think of my mom. Very supportive. And tonight we have a really special event because we have 3 readers who were here. I'm going to put Alexis Nikki back in and see if it works. 3 readers who were here about a year ago. Alexis Paige, Amanda Johnston, and Nikki Patin. Nikki's been having some audio issues. We hope she's okay. She's going to go later, and we'll help her to work those out. Can you hear us, Nikki?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, perfect. No more issues. Yep. Very cool.
That's great.
How does it feel to be all back together again?
This is my heart group. My heart group. I will always say yes to this group. I love you, ladies. Same. I love this reading.
Same. Love you too. Great to see you both.
Yes.
Were you all in the same class?
No, but we were all close.
We overlapped a bit. I graduated winter 2014.
Okay. Yep.
And I graduated, I think, you were summer of 14, Alexis,
right.
And then I was summer of 2015.
Okay.
So boom, boom, boom.
Okay, cool. 2015, Nikki, were you in my class? Summer of 15?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Shows what kind of host I am.
So long ago.
It has been some years.
I know.
Yep, I was pregnant with my son when I first started at Stonecoast, and now he's 8. So
wow.
Just how long it's been.
Wow, that is fantastic. Wonderful to have you all back together. I know you're all active publishing authors. Super excited to have you here and all in one evening. So we are going to have, I think I have this right. Amanda's going to go first, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I will, we'll talk to Amanda for just a minute, and then I will bring back you each reader one at a time, just like before. We'll all get together at the end so you can all reflect and talk and see how it went for you and how you feel. Sound good?
Great.
All right, very cool. I'm glad you resolved all your computer issues. Great to have you. And I will tuck away Alexis and Nikki, and we'll keep Amanda. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming back. You have been very active. You have a book out. Came out, Book of Poems 2017.
Yes.
Another Way to Say Enter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who published that? Do you know? Do you remember?
That came out through Argus House Press.
Nice.
But if anyone out there watching wants a copy, you can actually purchase it through my website now and get a signed copy from me.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that and along with my previous chapbooks, Guap and Lock and Key, those are available in digital versions in a bundle that also comes with audio. So you can listen to me read them to you if you purchase those bundles. All available through my website, amandajohnston.com.
Fantastic.
That is fantastic. I've bought, at least 10 books from people on the series, and none of them are signed. Because, they're not, I don't buy them, from the person. So I think it's really cool you offer that service, Amanda.
Oh, for sure. I love it. I know there's copies of my book in libraries where maybe I didn't know that it was being purchased for a library and I still just signed it. So you have to check if you're in a library somewhere and they have my book. Make sure you
I
check.
work at a library. I'll check it out to see if we have it.
It.
Absolutely.
Where do you live in that?
I'm in Texas. I'm in Round Rock, right outside of Austin. We just
Okay.
say Austin. It's Central Texas.
Yep. So we have Maine, California, and Texas. Pretty good.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And you're also reading from some poems from a book you said you have in progress. Is that correct? Active
Yes.
Threat?
Yes, a new full-length collection of poems titled Active Threat. It grapples with fear and the constant state of readiness people of color, especially Black people, are forced to be in due to over-policing.
Mm.
So what is this constant state of threat and who it impacts? And then and through that too still have joy and full lives and pleasure while under a constant state of threat.
Wow. And you'll read poems from both books tonight.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, Shannon, anything else, or should we let her kick off?
Oh, I'm looking forward to just hearing Amanda read to us.
Very cool. All right, Amanda, the time is all yours. We look forward to hearing your poems. Thank you for reading with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
All right. So first, I'm going to read a couple poems from my book, Another Way to Say Enter. And then, as I mentioned, I'll read some new poems from my work in progress, Active Threat. Facing Us, after Yusef Komanyaka. My Black face fades, hiding inside black smoke. I knew they'd use it, damn it, tear gas. I'm grown, I'm fresh. Their clouded assumption eyes me like a runaway, guilty as night chasing morning. I run this way, the street lets me go. I turn that way, I'm inside the back of a police van again, depending on my attitude to be the difference. I run down the signs, half expecting to find my name protesting in ink. I touch the name Freddie Gray. I see the beat cop's worn eyes. Names stretch across the people's banner, but when they walk away, the names fall from our lips. Paparazzi flash. Call it riot. The ground. A body on the ground. A white cop's image hovers over us. Then his blank gaze looks through mine. I'm a broken window. He's raised his right arm, a gun in his hand. In the black smoke, a drone tracking targets. No, a crow gasping for air. History repeating. Get your hand out my pocket, I shout, to no one in particular, to everyone under my breath, my shadow crawling into my pocketbook, searching for the price of the ticket, crawling into my pocketbook, under my breath, my shadow, to no one in particular, to everyone. Get your hand out my pocket, I shout. Jesus be a prayer. Jesus be a fence. Jesus be a moat. Jesus be a back door. Jesus be a friend. Jesus credit. Jesus be a discount. Jesus be a lover. Jesus be a kiss. Jesus be a nap. Jesus be a car. Jesus be a dance. Jesus be a drink. Jesus be a jam. Jesus be a no. Jesus be an exit. Jesus be a home. Jesus be a Monday. Jesus be a Friday. Jesus be a vacay. Jesus be a today. Jesus be a stillness. Jesus be a coffee. Jesus be a stillness. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a miracle. Jesus be amen. Thank you. Those were from Another Way to Say Enter. Available on my website, amandajohnston.com. And now for some brand new poems. I've been working on these poems in residency. I'll say this much: the pandemic has really allowed a lot of time and stillness. And with that, some very generous people have stepped forward to help provide retreat space and time for me to still get away and be able to write. So I'm very thankful to the people at the Tasajillo residency here in Kyle, Texas, for allowing me time to work on early drafts of these poems out at the cabin on their ranch, as well as the Watermill Center up in New York for allowing me time and space again to sit still and be quiet and work on this work. It deals with some pretty heavy topics around fear and police violence and community PTSD. So to be able to do that type of work, you have to have just as much, or if not more, time to heal and tend to yourself. So again, I'm thankful for those places and all of you who have given me space to work through this and share these poems. Thank you. I will read a brief note on these poems. Some of them deal with the Austin serial bombings that occurred between March 2nd and March 22nd in 2018 in Central Texas. 5 package bombs exploded, killing 2 people and injuring another 5. The initial attacks were in predominantly Black and brown neighborhoods. However, law enforcement was slow to identify the attacks as racially motivated domestic terrorism. This split the community as to whether there was a larger active threat or if these were isolated incidents. It begins. March 2nd, 2018, the first package bomb detonates in Pflugerville, Texas. What does a bomb sound like when everything is exploding? The coffee pot drips into morning with the eerie buzz of cars on the verge of collision. The world and its infinite brink of life and breath, in and out, small bursts of day to day. And then a loud note cuts through a quiet street, announcing a terror that has always been, is awake and hungry. 2 Americas. A friend says online shopping is great. You come home and there are packages waiting for you like little gifts. You should do it. You deserve it. It's so much fun. My daughter is afraid to open the door. I check the front yard for tripwire, mumble a little prayer. Take me. Take me. How do I explain? A coworker sees me crying at the copier. I don't know how to explain, so I don't. She asks if I like poetry and says there is a poet I should check out named Maya Angelou. I go deaf and close my eyes, relying on the machine in front of me to continue its business and hold me up with the flow of industry and all that shows I have value. A boy, this time, opened a box in his kitchen with his mother. A world stops. The machine goes on. Untitled, for Shamika Wilson, mother of Draylon Mason. And one day the sky opens and a voice says, now and after decades of church on Sunday, Bible study on Wednesday, grace and faith over every meal, and heads bowed, you look up and scream, no. And it is done. The hand that hovers eternally points its long finger and touches the body, and the armor wrapped with faith, wrapped with prayer, wrapped in the blood, now soaked in loss and grieving, goes quiet, so quiet you could fool yourself into thinking it's all a dream. "13 ways of looking at." No. Put the pen down. Not this time. Refuse the devil, his advocate. Keep your red cheek pulsing forward. Stay on this page until it ruins your expectation of resolution and post-discomfort relief. Feel it. Look. Smell your wound. Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, it's right. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I know it's some heavy stuff there. But that's what we do. We don't look away. I strongly believe that it's poets, artists, creatives in general. Our duty is to document the times, what our joys are, what our dreams are, our thoughts and reflections, and that includes definitely the challenges, struggles, and oppressive things that are happening. We are at war in this world. We have been at war with each other in this country. I believe it's our duty to speak on it, so that we don't forget and see each other in the time now and tell the truth for years to come. Thank you for allowing me to share.
No, I think that I speak for Troy when I say we feel lucky that we can have a platform for you to share your words. We're just facilitating. You're the talent.
No. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're my partners in words. You are. All of you are.
Thank you. I really like the way you read. I've noticed that on the series a lot of times, poets are so great at reading out loud. It's such a joy to just listen to the way you pronounce each phrase and each word.
Well, thank you. I also think that's why I read slowly. Because we pause and we have to consider every single thing, as poets, the whole page, is infinite possibilities and options. Great poet, Keith Wilson, we'll talk about how the poem, the possibilities of the poem extend far beyond the limits of the page, but that's what we work with predominantly because of publishing, right? But because he's so smart and he's also a tech person, he's doing some fabulous things in the digital world where poems are just spread out and taking up space and living in multiple dimensions. It's incredible. But yeah, Walter Mosley once came to a retreat and commented on us. He said, "You poets, you're always one to ask me about that one word in paragraph 3. He's like, it's a story. Read the whole story." You're right, but we care about each word.
Words matter.
Yes, they do.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That was very well read, Amanda. And refuse the devil, his advocate. Smell your wound. Zeroing in on those words. Very powerful lines. Very powerful content. So glad you came back to read for us again.
Always. I love this space. Stone Cold Stonehouse for life.
That's right.
Well, good. Well, that's weird. Sorry. Thought I'd try that for 1 second. None of that.
Okay. Should we Alexis?
So we'll bring you back, Amanda, at the end, and we will bring on, I think Alexis is next. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See you soon, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
You bet.
All right.
Hi, Alexis.
Hello, Alexis.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. How you
What
doing?
a wonderful reading so far.
Oh, wasn't it just, it's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an impossible act to follow. So thanks a lot,
Good luck.
Amanda.
So remind us all where you're writing from.
I am writing from the great state of Vermont.
Oh, lovely.
So I think not far from you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we never met in person, but I do see your stuff on the social media, and I like to follow along with all the good things that you're putting out in the world.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you'll be reading from your new book today, correct?
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the book is called Work Hard, Not Smart: How to Make a Messy Literary Life. And the title is an inversion of the old cliche to work smart, not hard, which is a way of working I've never been able to master. And when I was 40, I went and got evaluated for ADHD and was I almost said convicted of it. I was diagnosed with adult ADHD inattentive type, and suddenly there was this name for the wacky way my brain had always worked. And so the book started as in kind of defiance to the diagnosis, and then I decided to just lean into it. So the book is a grab bag of essays on and of craft. So there are some personal narrative essays interspersed with craft essays. And tonight I'm going to read. This is not something I would normally read in a reading setting, but I'm going to go for it. It's an open letter to white writers that I read at an AWP conference a few years ago. And I think it might just fit in nicely with this reading.
Yeah, that sounds
Very cool.
wonderful. Excited to hear it. So we'll have you read, and then we'll bring you back in to
Okay.
do a little chat, and then we'll go from there. So take it away.
All right. So it's called White Writers' Tears, an open letter to white accomplices in the literary community. Dear writers of the Caucasian persuasion, I have something to confess. I am racist. You probably are too. All white people are, even the good ones. For we have all been socialized in an overtly racist system of structures and superstructures. This acknowledgement matters, but what matters more is what we do with it. What matters is that we rise and meet the challenges of this and future American moments, and that we see them as opportunities to be better, perhaps even to be great. For despite what the politicians say, America has never been, and is not now, a great place for everyone. I have internalized white supremacist narratives, as we all have, and here I do mean we across racial lines. Systems and power structures favor me, whether in housing and employment, whether on the street, in department stores, restaurants, classrooms, hospitals, on airplanes and in taxis, in the criminal justice system, in professional and academic spaces, and here in the literary universe, that not everyone can call home with the same certainty and safety. We stand on the precipice of something enormous, that is our history, and just as malignant, ourselves. Our own performance of white supremacy is an abyss I hope we look hard and long into. To do this, we must increase our tolerance for discomfort. We must ditch the phony benevolence that Claudia Rankine described in her AWP 2016 keynote address. Benevolence was her word, phony mine. That we get over ourselves and out of the way enough to dig into the work of achieving real racial equity. Equity, an emphasis I am borrowing from writer Jen Palmaris Meadows, who posited it as a better alternative to mere diversity. Such work of inclusion might not seem like life and death here in this literary bubble, but out there in the world, people are dying, and the stories we tell in here become the stories that exist in the world. The power systems and structures and hierarchies that exist here in this purportedly inclusive space of mostly good, benevolent, liberals, conscious folks, and thinkers who know how to use words like intersectional are exactly the same systems and structures and hierarchies that exist out in the world, where voter disenfranchisement disproportionately impacts men of color, Housing and employment discrimination disproportionately impacts people of color as well as those of other marginalized identities. People of color make up about 30% of the population, yet 60% of those incarcerated. Black teens are, according to one report, 21 times more likely to be shot dead by police than their white counterparts. Renisha McBride knocked on a door for help after a car accident and was promptly shot in the face by a white man who saw her, whether immediately or consciously or unconsciously, as a threat. His intent doesn't matter because his not meaning to, his remorse, and his apology do not make Renisha McBride less dead. Someone like me, a good, benevolent, white middle-class girl with high-class problems, can blunder colossally yet still have a real second chance after alcoholism, a drunk driving arrest, a felony charge, and 2 months in the Harris County Jail. While my bunkie, Yolanda, a Black woman about my age from Sunnyside in Houston, barely got a first chance. And someone like me had access and the financial wherewithal to hire good legal representation and therefore remained free on bond for 1 year and 9 months, while Yolanda languished in the deplorable Harris County Jail for 18 months awaiting trial on a trumped-up drug charge that was ultimately dismissed and on another charge called criminal mischief, which sounds suspiciously like a made-up term for anything to charge Black people with. While I was out on bond getting treatment for alcoholism, Yolanda remained in a jail so foul with corruption and violence and sexual assaults and diseases and rats and roaches that many of you would literally not believe it. A nightmarish and yet commonplace place that no one should have to endure, and that seasoned inmates there refer to as the slave ship. You might not be able to hold the truth of this other America in your body, the America that you perhaps don't know, because unlike our Black and brown sisters, you don't live in it and with it and of it every fucking day. And regardless of good intentions, our literary world is fundamentally the same as a space out there where after a trial and only a misdemeanor conviction and no paper, probation or parole, and the resources to do so, I was able to live my second chance, to leave the state of Texas and to move on to Vermont, where I am now a professor and homeowner. While Yolanda revolves in and out of prison for an originally nonsense charge because she can't keep up with the onerous court conditions that make parole violations inevitable, I have retained, even expanded my life of privilege and comfort. I took the long way around with this object lesson, but I reiterate, the world in here looks and acts a lot like the one out there. Here, whites are overrepresented on panels and mastheads and in departments and journals and fellowships and prizes, and MFA programs don't teach and reflect the plurality of narratives that actually exist in both the literary world and the actual world. And even though probably no one is going to get shot in broad daylight on the steps of the Acme City Convention Center during this Association of Writers and Writing Programs conference, let's not kid ourselves that the world of American letters is for everyone a place of safety, justice, and equity. But isn't this what we want? What we all want? We want inclusion, right? We say we do. But as the brilliant and fabulous poet and activist Amanda Johnston posted on social media recently, PSA, listen closely to people's actions. So while I have done a lot of homework in changing my framework for thinking about race and my own privilege, and while I write and teach to these principles, I have not always acted upon them perfectly. I want you to listen closely to these actions, my actions. I have not always sacrificed my privilege at work, in literary spaces, in my MFA, and in publishing in order to center the well-being of writers of color. I have centered myself and my white feelings in conversations where people of color had to do both their own and my heavy lifting. I have added to their labor. I have not always given up my seat at the table. I take breaks, days and weeks off from engaging race, as if an entity that lives outside of me, whether on social media, in the classroom, or on the page. And I do this because engaging is hard, but more so because as a white writer, editor, teacher, I can. I have the ability and privilege to disengage. I have also failed to share or cede both space and power in literary spaces. Let me give you a concrete example. Many years ago now, I was involved in a project that ended up being, see, I say ended up as if it were passive, as if choices weren't made, a collection of mostly white voices. An implosion among contributors occurred after someone pointed this out, and a somewhat predictable, ugly conversation ensued. Some asked whether it was enough to solicit writers of color and to publish calls in national venues, which was done, and with good intention and sincere effort by the editor of the project. If such efforts fail, does further editorial responsibility still exist to actively and decisively include non-white writers in meaningful proportions? My answer was and is yes. Part of what made the implosion sticky was that friendships were involved and feelings were hurt, as I and others tried to engage in an honest discussion of intersectionality and inclusions. However, what I did not do was withdraw my piece from the collection. After all, it was an excellent project in all other respects, and I wanted to be in it to stack up my publication credits. I wanted that more than I wanted to insist on the inclusion of non-normative voices. So I vowed to do better next time. Next time, I would join only projects and publications that were specifically committed to meaningful inclusion of writers of color, no matter what. But guess what? I did do it again. I joined another project whose racial composition shaped up to be mostly white. Of course, I had good reasons for my involvement in this project too, but were they the right reasons? I don't relish being a slow learner on this front, nor that once again I was promising to do better next time. Therefore, I want to make my vow public here, and I want to entreat other white writers to do the same. What does doing better look like? What might I do next time? What can we white writers do to sincerely foster inclusion and better support writers of color? We can refuse solicitations to projects that lack meaningful inclusions, and we can and should tell the editors and publishers why. We can demand fair and meaningful representation of writers of color as a condition of participation. We can call out, ask for, and demand accountability of publishing statistics by race. For example, the VITA count on gender, which I realize is beginning to include race and other metrics. We can resist and reject essentialist white narratives in our own writing and in our roles as editors of various publications. We can give up our seats at certain tables or create additional seats for BIPOC writers. We can work to make sure mastheads are not all or mostly white or inclusive merely in a tokenizing way. We can share and yield opportunities to speak, to publish, to perform, to panel, to get paid, etc., to writers of color. As the novelist, poet, memoirist, and activist Alexis Paige has said, we can cross the street to come to the aid of people of color who are under attack. We can take on the labor, which people of color now do, of educating other whites to become more conscious, sensitive, and inclusive. And finally, we can help to reframe narratives in our writing, teaching, editing, and publishing so as to improve the narratives here and in other spaces. We can do better. We must. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great and so appropriate after Amanda's work that we're continuing with that trajectory. Thank you for sharing that. It's all true.
And more, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great, Alexis. Is that the first you published that in your new book? That's the first time that was in print?
The first time it was in print, yes, but I shared it in a panel.
Right.
And read it as kind of like a hectoring speech. Yeah, but this is the first time it's in print.
It is so good, so personal, so accurate, so true.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you think incarceration was part of your journey to understand inequality? Like you talk about you talk about your monkey. That part was so compelling because the legal system and the way it works, bias against persons of color, persons without resources, persons without connections. Very powerful piece.
Yeah, so that my whole criminal justice experience happened in 2005 between my first master's, which I got in poetry in San Francisco, and my MFA. I was like 29, I think, when I got arrested. And I'm working on a book that's more of just the jail narrative, and a bit about how I teach about mass incarceration now. But your question, Troy, yes, that absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. I had been academically aware of and open to, I had studied a lot of these issues, but sitting in a courthouse and seeing, just you're one of two white people in a very diverse county on any given Tuesday, like what's going on here? And so seeing it and living it, and then I was in jail for 2 months, and that I feel like I had a window onto another America that a lot of white people don't get to see. So yes, that was a big pivot point.
Yeah, I can imagine just being exposed to that. It would change you fundamentally forever. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. It's important work, and we all need to hear it. So thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you, Alexis. We'll bring you back at the end. So
okay, great.
Whatever the right word is, reflect on your experience. Thank you again.
Okay, sounds good.
Which brings us to our last reader, Shannon.
Yes.
And if you're just joining us, my name is Troy Myers. This is Shannon Bowering. We're a graduate of the Stone Coast MFA in Creative Writing, and we are hosting 3 fantastic readers tonight on our sometimes Sunday nights Stonehouse Reader Series. Our last reader is Nikki Patin.
Patin.
Yeah.
Patin.
Nikki Patin. Nikki, welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. What are you going to share for us tonight?
I'm going to share a couple of different things. The first is the first piece from my memoir called Working on Me, which is sort of a blend of some persona work and some first person. We're still working it out, but a piece of that. And then I've got a few sestinas that I'm going to read, and then like one more piece in between. So it'll be in it.
And for the non-poets out there, what is a sestina in brief?
So, a sestina is a French verse form, and basically it's a poem with 6 stanzas of 6 lines and a final triplet, with all stanzas having the same 6 words at the line ends in 6 different sequences that follow a fixed pattern, and then all 6 words appear in the closing 3-line envoy. It's a lot more. It's very mathematical, which is why I love it. I'm pretty obsessed with them. I've been writing a lot of them, so I'm going to share.
Good for you.
Yeah,
it sounds tough. I've never tried one. I got intimidated just hearing the.
No, they're so. It's like a poetry puzzle. That's what I call it. It's like unlocking the meaning of all those words and all these different.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so, are you set to go, Nikki? Did we forget anything?
I don't think so.
All right, good. All right, the time is yours.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this first piece, this is called Brick House. Take a brick and go at it with a hammer and chisel. Take a sliver off a terracotta-colored rectangle, a chunk out of the opposite angle, drill a hole through it, diamond-shaped. Grind an edge of it into beautiful dust. Leave a footprint in it. Spit on it and make mud. Attempt to gather the slivers and bits and dust into a mold to shape it back into itself, to make it a brick, functional, worthy of construction like it's just dying to be built into something other than itself. Over a lifetime of chipping, slicing, grinding, decades of dust worn off in delicate layers that will end up in a garbage dump on the bottoms of all kinds of refuse shoes, what becomes of the brick? Does it look like a brick still, able to hold some weight? add to a structure, be useful? Or does it wind up where I grew up, in the backyard of abandoned steel mills, lining tunnels whose open mouths are frozen horrors framing tall grass filled with rust and rocks and bent up razor wire? Brick house. Mighty? Maybe. This next piece opens with a quote from Melissa Harris Perry. The piece is titled My Crooked Room. The concept is taken from Melissa Harris Perry, who is an amazing academic and brilliant scholar, human being. Okay, here's the quote. In one study, subjects were placed in a crooked chair in a crooked room and then asked to align themselves vertically. Some perceived themselves as straight in relation to their surroundings. To researchers' surprise, some people could be tilted as much as 35 degrees and report that they were perfectly straight simply because they were aligned with images that were equally tilted. But not everyone did this. Some managed to get themselves more or less upright, regardless of how crooked the surrounding images were. When they confront race and gender stereotypes, Black women are standing in a crooked room, and they have to figure out which way is up. Bombarded with warped images of their humanity, some Black women tilt and bend themselves to fit the distortion. Melissa Harris Perry. Walls covered in long blonde hair that sheds everywhere, gets in my mouth, my food, strands caught in my fingers, glasses, blankets. The windows are ice blue with no bend or curve or dynamic. They are always cold to the touch. The door, which I keep trying to open, is heavy. I can't afford the toll for the apathetic guard in front of it to pull it open for me. I am allowed to open it without paying the toll, but it is covered in spikes and poison. I'll kill myself trying, shred my hands into bloody bones. I am down to stumps, but I keep pulling at the door, keep pulling myself up. The floor is covered in slick mockery. Everywhere I step, insults coat my feet. Every time I try to lay down, voices whisper, echoing incessantly, insisting that I'm just lazy. When I try to run or stretch or make love, I am jarred by derision. No matter where or how I move, I am just a joke, just the entertainment, born to amuse the real human people. Everything is so blue, out the glittering windows. All the furniture in this room is too small for me, packed so tight that I can't turn around without tumbling it all down. Frowns are reflected in the crooked mirrors, looking down on my skin dark, against the intentional lack of color. Everything clear here, made of glass, brittle, easily breakable, but vicious once shattered. Ceilings higher than I can even see, ladders locked in cabinets seen but never to be touched by me. My hands are gone, my feet are bleeding. The architects of this place designed it to destroy any will of mine to live. They will let me survive, will try not to outright kill me unless I really break the rules. But they will not let me live. They like to watch me squirm, cry, bleed, seethe. My temper tantrums turn them on. These architects who decide what gets built, who gets to live where, are filled with glee, watching me clash with every pattern, dominating every wall. I cannot sit still in this place. I cannot match this energy. I am crashing into the windows at full speed, bleeding all over the guards. I am splintering the panes. I am spider webs cracking across the horizon, unsettling, still so blue. I am tearing down everything imagined, designed, built to kill me, even if it kills me. All right, and so this is the first of 3 sestinas I'm going to read. This is called Night and Day. Multifaceted, brimming with sapphire, bearing a weight royal, having just set the empire on fire, ferrying fool's gold to crush heart encrusted in ice, slicing slash of certain silver, blasting rubies through flesh, quicksilver, breathe through blood, suffocated sapphire, shoulders chipped, rounded with ice. Only strategy offered for melt is becoming royal, because the softest prize is gold, dripping, dipped in fire. In what world did we come to covet fire? In what world did we learn to eat with silver? And where did we get this obsession with gold? Why be surprised at the rage in sapphire, who has been set and cast the opposite of royal, which is another way of keeping humanity on ice? Dignity will not melt the ice. Unyielding as insistence of fire to equate the divine with royal is to deny what only kills vampires, silver. Cutting through a starry sky of sapphire, hoarding blood like gold, backing money that folds but worth less than gold, spent to lace unworthy necks with ice, who jeer at the righteous fury of sapphire, peel humanity off her with supposedly friendly fire, nothing left to find, nothing left behind but silver, yet the barbarism found is mounted as royal. Celebrated like crowns royal, trying to turn glitter into gold, feet never fast enough to outrun pointed silver. Rage in my eyes turns yours to ice. I've come to set your kingdom on fire. With inherited blues, what else could I be but sapphire? Royal gone silver, sapphire reclaiming gold. Fires burn to destroy the ice. Number 2, and I just want to give a content warning. This piece, this Sistina, is about domestic violence. Ever been bullied by a blowhard? They never touch you, but somehow you bleed. Crueler because of how easily you bruise, which makes it even easier to get your mind blown along with your back out. So therefore you are to blame. In the before, future was on your mind, inevitably bright. Pow! Into an eyelid feels bright. Perfect spotlight for a blowhard, so therefore you are to blame. Weren't you just dying to bleed, face blown as you map the trajectory of a bruise? Purple, blue, green, red, yellow, undeniable bruise. That shine a real, real bright. Any shot at self-respect blown out of proportion by an alcoholic blowhard, drunk on seeing you bleed. All you do is cauterize. So therefore you are to blame. So therefore you are to blame. Going back after the first bruise, loving someone who makes you bleed, you think those red flags aren't that bright. You think at least I'm not with a blowhard, some light in you gone out, blown, like refusing the wish of an eyelid, of an eyelash blown. So therefore you are to blame. This pattern laid out by a blowhard, never fading bruise, but around others, keep it bright, even though it feels so familiar to bleed. Has someone who said they love you ever made you bleed? Turned tissues red from a nose blown, the shock the first time recalled those tissues bright. That blood didn't motivate you enough, so therefore you are to blame. What else is left to bruise? Everyone's moved on, even the blowhard. Hands numb, eyes bright that bleed water, mana of the blowhard who stays blown, so therefore you are to blame? Did you give yourself that bruise? And last but not least, this piece is called Sistina for the Stars, inspired by Ego Trippin' by Nikki Giovanni. Born perfect, brutally birthed ethereal, how else shall we describe the genesis of a star? Eyes searing jewels reflecting every angle of the divine, I dare you to bottle my light. Heavy with every kind of light, rippling, undulating across my bulging skin, perfect. My goddess body is not only divine, but flesh dripping down my bones, ethereal, as if my belly were stuffed with rare jewels. Embodying refraction, I mirror convex, no shade, all star. Can't keep your eyes off the bounce of this star, skittering across the cosmos, a flashlight illuminating hidden jewels, studying the gorgeous landscape, perfect, smile rich and full, buttery and ethereal like that last creamy mouthful of ice cream, divine. The last little bite of heaven one can't get enough of, divine. I dare you to dissect a star, crack open trillions of years of ethereal. No, not too many can stand the intensity of this light. No, not many at all can keep company with this kind of perfect. Flaws abound in the promise of jewels. I never cared for jewels, always borrowing their glamour from the divine while pretending to be perfect. I know a rare gem pales next to a true star, which can both shine and glare depending on the angle of the light. So gorge yourself on my ethereal. Behold my generosity in gifting you the vision of my ethereal. Do use your tongue to savor my jewels. Bask in my shameless light. I am a channel of the divine sauntering across the sky. I'm a star, intentionally throwing off well-worn orbits while naming myself perfect. My light ethereal, perfect big belly full of jewels, divine refusing to be called anything except star. Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
I see what you mean about those being poetry puzzles.
Yes. I love Sistinas. I feel like you get this opportunity, this very rare opportunity to see what you can do with the same set of words and see like how the meanings can change depending on like, you know, just, I don't know. I almost see it like a little click of the, I don't know, like maybe I'm dating myself, but like almost like turning like a TV channel, like with each click, like what meaning can I unlock? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. They were fantastic, and you do a great job of reading, like Amanda, like
Thank you.
great poet voice.
Thank you. I do have fun. I do feel like there's something very special that happens when I call it like articulating into the air. There's like one thing that happens on the page, but then when you say it aloud, a whole different thing starts to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good, Nikki.
Thanks.
We've had, I don't know how many readings, over the last year and a half. And I'm actually going to send a link out to this to my entire college in Sacramento, because I really there's going to be a lot of interest, I think. You and Amanda were fantastic, and Alexis's essay was absolutely.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I want to take this opportunity to please go buy Alexis's book. Please go get it. She's brilliant. And I love that I'm able to also be her friend as well as a fan. So go get it. Okay.
Very cool. And before we're going to bring everybody back up, but have you published any of these poems, Nikki? Or do you have a book out, or?
It's funny that you say that. I have not. No, I actually haven't published anything. I just started. I run a nonprofit full time, and in the middle of moving my son and I to Vegas, and I always have $1.5 million things going on. But fingers crossed, I'll toss them out somewhere at some point. Like for now, it's just like what I do for fun in the morning over coffee.
Yeah.
That Sapphire poem was outstanding. They were all good, but for me, that one just blew my mind, how well you handled that complicated form.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Thank you.
And it's not poetry related, but I see the happy birthday banner in the background. Is that for you?
Yes.
Well, here's what's funny. So my mom's birthday was last week. My birthday is next week. But my son really loves My Little Pony. And apparently all the ponies have their birthdays right now as well. So we've had 2 so far. And when I say it's not just like saying the ponies have a birthday, literally we've baked birthday cakes and put candles and happy birthday. So we're just keeping the up.
That's fantastic. How many ponies are there?
Oh, there's a whole the My Little Pony universe is a whole situation. Now there's a new generation of ponies. So I don't know how many birthdays we're gonna have to celebrate, but I'm gonna need to put a budget together because it's
I'm going to bring back Alexis and Amanda, and feel free, just reflect. How was this experience for you all?
Y'all are amazing. I'm a huge fan. I love y'all so much. Oh my God. Nikki, please, I'm gonna plug Torch Literary Arts. Nikki, send them poems in. You already know. TorchLiteraryArts.org is my nonprofit, and we publish, promote, and celebrate Black women writers. So poets, fiction writers, drama, hybrid work. We publish and feature every Friday a new author, and for the whole month, a monthly feature. So April being National Poetry Month, we celebrated Toy Derricott was our feature for April. So I'm loving what we're able to do there. Please send in those poems. They are fire. I was over here just fangirling and nerding out to the structure, because for me, one of the things that I'm sure you and Alexis can, agree with this, but when we're teaching form, especially complicated structures like that, for me, I also want to see why, right? Why did you use this as opposed to, some tercets, some couplets, something else? Yeah. But it's when you're able to take the pattern of that abuse that's being described in the poem and have it amplified with the repetition of the form cycling on itself. That's masterful. That's masterful level work. And to do it so effortlessly that while you're reading the poem, I'm not hearing the mechanics. I'm not hearing the notes behind it. I'm just experiencing the power of the work. I'm got goosebumps, just brilliant. And Alexis, you just need to go around and read copies. Somebody needs to buy up all of Alexis's books, buy the books, and make sure that every white academic has them in their library. Make sure every library has them. Anyone that wants to open their mouth to say critical race theory, anything, if you haven't read this book first, I don't know that you're qualified. Right? It's so good. It's so on point. I was just over here in my own little church, just amening and clapping and snapping.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
always a love fest when the three of us get together. Like
It
I
is.
think like, sometimes like you get to know like fellow writers and sometimes you connect with people because you have similar styles or like interests or whatever. But like I love Amanda and Alexis, not only because they're brilliant writers, but we just have a very good time when we hang out. Just
I
standing
always laugh.
Yes, there are like photos of us, like standing in the back of a room, like all three of us, like look, I don't know who we were looking at, but like literally all judging them at the same time. we just, we
There was
just
something happening that was incorrect.
I know, and we were all just
That's right. That's right.
They had not read the book.
I remember the first time I had met you, Nikki, but it was winter residency
yes.
and I had my car. And so we were driving from the Harrisika to the Stonehouse, I guess.
Mhm.
And we like almost hit a turkey or something. And then we were like cutting up and it became this whole joke about like the bustin' loose bus.
Yes, because I love that movie.
And I'm just like, yeah. But was that the name of the movie? Bustin'
Yes,
Loose?
yes,
Yeah.
that's the name of the movie.
It was like one of my favorite movies as a kid, and I have just loved you from that moment.
Yes, there was just, I mean, I think that's the thing is that there's, I think, just a synergy between the three of us. And interestingly enough, like the more that we read together, the more it feels like there's just such alignment between the way I think all three of our work interacts. Like I love, Amanda, your approach to poetry. And I think because I come from this world of spoken word where everybody is so goddamn long-winded, and you never are, like your brevity and your concision just make me so happy. And it's also one of the reasons why I love the Sistina form, to your point, playing with words and playing with language, but not bogging it down with so much form and mechanical stuff that you lose the thread of what's being said. So that's something that I definitely take from you, Amanda, is that brevity,
So good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all are, we can sit here and keep doing this,
Yes.
just let us.
We'll
run.
go offline in a minute and we can talk as long as you like.
Yeah.
But Alexis, I have to ask you, so your book, Work Hard, Not Smart, can we get it from your website?
My
How do
website
we
is
get a
probably
signed
not the most
copy?
efficient way to get it.
Yes.
Just if you just Google it, you can buy it. I don't like to judge. If you want to buy it on the Amazon, that's fine. It's on the Amazon. It's on the Barnes and Nobles. What's that?
I said I got it from the evil empire of Amazon. Sorry.
Nikki got it from the evil empire. That's
Set
fine.
up that smile account. Set up that smile account. So at least then a little penny will come to Torch Literary Arts, and you can feel better.
Oh, okay. I will do
Hey,
that.
that's cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I
So
will do that.
if we want a signed copy, we have to come to Vermont, Alexis.
No.
Maybe.
If you want a signed copy, just find me on the socials. Send me a message. I'll hook you up. Yeah.
And Amanda, your website is amandajohnston.com.
Yep, Amanda.
And all your books are up there, signed copies, whatever we want, if we want to purchase your books.
Absolutely.
Your new book, Active Threat, is not yet out. Is that correct?
Not yet out, but there are some poems. The poems that I read tonight are coming out soon. I don't want to say yet where because it's kind of a surprise, but they'll be coming out very soon. And you can link to that will be on my website as well.
And your book, Another Way to Say Enter, a full-length book of poems, is on your website, available signed also. And Nikki, you need to get these poems out into the world. They're absolutely fantastic.
I know. Thank you.
It has been a marvelous night. Thank you all for sitting here with us and reading. Jen and I were so lucky to have you.
Yeah, this was wonderful. Thank you all.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great to be here.
I will say just quickly that this is sort of the end of the first chapter of the Stonehouse Readers series. We're not going to do weekly like we've been doing.
Okay.
It's too hard on all of us, and we can all go out now and see people in the world. And so, but we do have next week is kind of our or not next week, sorry, May 22nd. We're dark May 8th and May 15th. May 22nd, Ann Britting Olson and Brenda Prescott are here. And then in June, we have the reading of the official Stone Coast puts on a reading for alumni who published a book in the first half of the year, and that will be online. It's not exactly this, but it's similar, and I get to be part of it, which is really nice.
I'll be coming back for that.
Good, Alexis. Yeah. So that reading will be in June. We were going to reboot ourselves one way or another come fall probably and continue the series maybe once a month. but you three need to all return. You are fantastic together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
I'm
Thank
in.
you. I'm in. I'm always down with you.
And agreed.